Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode on Oracle SQL Developer. On this episode, we are going to look at how to grant a privilege to the newly created user. In the previous episode, we looked at how to create a user with the name new HR, and then we assigned a password of 123 to the new user. With this episode, we are going to look at how to grant privilege to the new user, how to connect to the new user, and then how to create tables, insert a record, and then issue the commit command. Let's proceed. So, looking at what we are about to do after creating the user and then assigning a password, the user will have to be able to connect and then have other privileges to create a table, insert records, and the rest. So let's move into a black interface, which is the Oracle prompt. Before you can grant any privilege to any newly created user, you have to be in Oracle, unless maybe the user is having what we call the with grant option, where the user will be able to pass on the same privilege he has obtained from the sys to other users. But once the new HR will only gain the privilege in the sys user, we first have to connect to the sys account. So where we have the enter username, we are going to connect to the sys user. To connect to the sys user, we have so many ways of doing that, but we are going to use pass as sys dba. Hit on enter. The sys is having what we call the operating system authentication, so it is not really necessary to enter a password for it. So we'll just ignore and then hit on enter for it to connect. So as you can see, we have successfully connected to our Oracle 12c database. We are going to grant privilege or set of privileges to the new HR user. We have grant DBA. We in the previous episode we realized or learned that the DBA is a role, and we said the role is a container which will hold so many privileges. So we can pass on the DBA role to the newly created user, which is the new HR, or we can simply execute a command which is grant all privileges to the newly created user. But we are going to use the DBA role to pass on a set of privileges to the newly created user. So we have the command grant, this is the role name, to the user /# new HR. So let's copy and paste in our black interface. So I'll just right click and then paste, hit on enter, and the result is grant succeeded. So we've successfully passed on the DBA rule to the newly created user. After passing on the rule to new HR, we want to be able to connect to the new HR user or account and then start creating some tables in there. So I have here connect. Whenever you want to connect to any new user through this black interface, so we have connect the username / and then the password. So you can, this is the short form of connect. You can just type CONN, that is con, and then username / password. So connect username and then the password. That is the other way. So we are going to use the first format, that is connect / new HR / and then the password. So let me copy, come to my black interface, right click to paste, and then hit on enter, and then it will connect me to the new HR. If I show user now, realize that my user is c double hash new HR. Okay, so the next step is we want to see if we have tables in the new HR user or the new HR account. So I will execute the command select table name from user underscore tables. This is the command that we have to execute for us to see the results. So select table underscore name from user underscore tables. So let's copy and paste. The result is no rows selected because we have not created any table in the new HR account or the new HR user. So the next step, we are going to create a simple table. This is just a scenario. So we are just going to create a simple table. It says creating a simple table in new HR user. The question is create table C underscore M with the following attributes. So CID with the data type integer, CNAME data type varchar2, CDate, the data type is date because we are going to input only date values, CSAL which is numeric because it is going to hold amount. So this is how we create a simple table in Oracle database. So create table C underscore M, CID, this is integer the data type, and then the constraint which is not now, CNAME varchar2, a size of 15, and then not now constraint, CDate, the data type is date, not now constraint, CSAL numeric, the data size, and then not now constraint. So let's execute this command inside our black interface. So I'll just right click to paste the command in there and then hit on enter. So all these numbers you are seeing in the black interfaces are the lines. So line 1 we start from SQL, line 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So I've successfully created the table which is the C underscore EMP. After creating the table, we want to describe the table. That means we just want to see the number of attributes the table is having and then 8 data types. To describe the table, we can just use DESC C underscore EMP, or we can use the full word which is describe. So we are just going to use the DESC. So DESC, the table name C underscore EMP, and with our semicolon, and then execute. So once we execute, this is the results that we are going to see, or the results that we are going to have. So CID, not now constraint, and then we use integer, and then CNAME varchar2, the correct data type. Sometimes when you are creating the table you can make it varchar, but the correct data type in Oracle it's not just varchar, it is varchar2. In the SQL Server we just use varchar, but in Oracle it's varchar2. Then this is the size, and then CDate, because we are going to insert date values, the correct data type should be date, and then this is CSAL because we are going to insert amount or salaries or wages, it has to be in this format. So this is number and then 10-2, that means 10 whole number, 2 decimal places. That is the meaning here. Okay, so after looking at this, the next thing that we want to do is just insert one record into the C underscore M table. Whenever we want to populate records into a table, we use the DML command insert. That means we are going to populate records into a table. So insert into the table name and then the keyword values. So insert into the table name and then the keyword values. Then you open parentheses Now, one thing that you have to take note is that whenever you are inserting the records, the arrangement of the records that you have in the parentheses should be the same as the arrangement of the attributes that you have in inside the table. So the first attribute is the ID, the name, the date, and then the CSAL. So that is according to the arrangement. So CID, ID number 10, this is the name, this is the date, and then this is the salary. One thing is, whenever it comes to dates in Oracle or in any other database, you have to know the format for the dates that we have in the database management system, because some databases, the date format starts with the year, the month, and then the day. So how would you know the correct date format for Oracle database? We first have to check the date format for Oracle database. Now, if you want to see the date format for Oracle database, we just execute the command select sys date from dual. The dual is a dummy table, so select sys date from dual, and then we just hit on enter. So this is the arrangement or the correct date format in Oracle database. So this is the day, the month, and then the year. So that means we are correct here. So the first value is the ID, this is the name, this is the date, and then the CSAL, which is the amount. One thing that you have to take note is that whenever you are inserting records into a table, all characters must be in single quotes. All alphanumeric or especially date values must also be in single quotes. So alphanumeric values must be in single quotes, date values must be in single quotes, alphabet must also be in single quotes. So Cherry Bills is a name which is characters, so it has to be in single quotes. And then 12-MAR-95 is a date value, so it also has to be in single quotes. Okay, so let's insert our record, the first record. We copy and then we paste, we hit on enter. Now it's going to tell us one row created. That means we've successfully inserted one record into the C_EMP table. So let's see if it is true that we've successfully inserted one record into the C_EMP table. So select star from C_EMP, bring your semicolon, then you hit on enter. So it is true, we've successfully inserted another record, which is having the ID 10. That is the information that we just inserted or populated here. Okay, take note, after inserting any record in Oracle database, you need to save the transaction. So the next thing we are going to do is save the record inserted. So how do we save? We save transactions using commit, by executing commit, or by executing the second option, which is commit work. So the first or the second one will work successfully. So let's use the first one, which is commit. We have to commit because if you close this black interface and then try to reconnect again, when you execute a select command from the EMP table, the record is going to be empty, or the table is going to be empty, because you didn't save the transaction. You have to save the records you just inserted. Okay, apart from executing the commit, how do we then automate the commit? So I do not want to be wasting time and then be executing commit after inserting each record into the table. So I will just automate the commit by enabling it. So how do we enable the auto commit? So we have the command here, set auto commit on. You bring your semicolon here. So I will copy, come to my black interface again, right click, and then hit on enter. Now I have enabled the auto commit. Whenever I insert any record, I won't waste any time to re-execute commit again. Okay, so thank you for this episode. On our next episode, we are going to create more tables, insert more records, and then look at how to connect to the Oracle SQL Developer interface. Apart from this black interface we are working with, we have another user-friendly interface that we can execute our commands there, which is quite much more friendly than this black interface. One disadvantage with this black interface is that after executing a command and you let's say you entered it wrongly and you want to edit, it's either you use the notepad or you have to retype each command in this black interface again, which is quite waste of time. So we will look at the SQL developer, how to connect to SQL developer, and then how to use it. Okay, thank you, and subscribe to my channel.